Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Phil Risher, and on today's episode, I have a treat for you guys. Marie Elliott is joining us. She's one of our newest consultants here at Flash, and she used to work at an $8 million home service business and helped them go to $11 million. And I said, hey, why don't you come on and share what you did there and, pick your brain about things. So Marie, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
You are so welcome. If you could go into before you started working here, you were working at this $8 million company. What did the business look like when you started there? Like, what was the revenue mix? What was the lead flow looking like, the team structure, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I was their first full-time marketing hire. The owner knew that he wanted to grow and had just soft launched a secondary location about an hour and a half away from the primary. So he was looking to try and figure out how that could grow as well.
Yeah.
So I came in, they had an agency that was doing some of their website and SEO work, and it was not working out. So I fired them pretty quickly. But the revenue was really pretty split from a number of jobs standpoint between roofing and fencing. And the average cost per ticket was about little under 10,000.
Nice.
So the team, they had 6 sales guys that were running around. The owner was still very much boots on the ground, while also trying to run marketing and while also trying to be a human and have a life and a family.
Yeah.
So he was doing a lot when I came in. And my role was the director of marketing, but I learned very quickly that in order for marketing to be successful, I really had to put in my influence outside of that scope. So looking at business operations, looking at our tech stack, looking at the way that people were trained up and supporting the sales team. There was a lot of opportunity to have a big impact on the success of the company outside of just running marketing campaigns.
Yeah, it's pretty natural. When I worked at the $3 million home service business as director of business development, and naturally it's like, we want you to grow, help us grow. And then it's like, oh, by the way, our tech stack is terrible. The CSRs can't answer the phone right. We don't have any, we don't know our data. By the way, squirrel, we want to do this thing over here. It's like, all right, yeah, that's exactly how I was too.
Yeah.
So they had 6 sales reps, and then they had like customer service representatives that answer the phone and stuff.
Yeah, there was one dedicated CSR, and then the office manager helped with overflow of calls.
Okay, sweet. And what was the basic lead flow sources, like organic Google Business Profile, or was there something else that like referral partners? Because $8 million is pretty substantial.
Yeah, so one of the benefits is that the company had been around for over 100 years.
Oh, wow.
So it was a well-established brand within the community, outside of the additional location they were trying to launch. But a lot of repeat customers. So, you'd get on a roof from patching up from a storm, knowing that 2, 3, 4 years down the road, they're going to need a full replacement. The other pieces were really that the sales guys were out in the community. They were really involved with, their grandson's bowling league, or, the local organizations like within the business community. So people knew them from past jobs when they had come on. So it's one of those, like, I know a guy.
Yeah.
And then they were really good about, once they were in a neighborhood, being able to kind of get that word of mouth, because there was a lot of strength within the quality of install and the products that are used.
Yeah. So it sounds like they had good brand authority. The salespeople were ingrained in getting referrals internally coming in. There was a lot of repeat business. I do want to ask you this specifically, because there's, even if, HVAC, plumbing, electrician, any of these businesses, they still have these big ticket jobs, but then they also have service calls, like repair calls. So how did you balance like marketing for roof replacements versus repairs? And then how did you make sure that the repairs turned into replacements in 3 to 4 years? Because I think that this is a very unique nuance of home service, and I'm curious to hear like what y'all did or how you did that.
Yeah, that was actually a really big point that we were trying to get with the sales team was when we went out for a repair, having that conversation with the homeowner to say, look, like, we can do this much work for you today, but here's some of the problem areas I want you to be aware of. And it might make sense to just go ahead and do a full replacement today. If not, your timeline's looking at within the next 3 years, right? So start saving up.
Yeah.
But the team was also really good about helping homeowners fight with their insurance to get it from a repair ticket up to a replacement ticket.
Yeah, I think there's specifically when it comes to marketing side of things, it's really hard because like people don't necessarily reach out because they want a roof replacement or HVAC replacement. They say, I don't have any heat or my roof's leaking or shingles off.
Mm-hmm.
Or they start with their search on repairs or service calls.
Right.
And so a lot of people, they spend a bunch of money trying to focus on replacement leads when really if they had a system like what you're referring to, it's repairs, and then you upsell replacements once you get into the sales process, it's an easier way to get less expensive leads and also have a better sales process. But a lot of people don't build that out inside of their business.
Absolutely. And same thing with fences, right? Nobody wants to go put in an entirely new fence. They think, oh, you could just repair this one section or just replace that one post. And so the sales team being able to have the power to go to them and go, look, this really does need to be a full replacement, and having some of that content and sales support materials to go and show them, this is the difference between what you've got today and what we would be recommending.
Yeah. So when you stepped in, it sounds like it was a decent run business, 100 years old brand, salespeople, like a sales system. What would you say were some of the biggest marketing gaps or inefficiencies that you saw? You mentioned about the SEO company probably doing some like cookie cutter, generic stuff or something like that. But was there any other big things that you saw or things that you changed that were big lever pullers in the business?
Oh yeah, I could go on forever.
Okay,
It was it was great to look at kind of the bigger picture with fresh eyes. I came in and a couple weeks in, I was like, why am I not getting any notes on voicemails? And found out they had their voicemail system go down with a major storm over the summer, and it had been down for about 4 months at that point. And everybody was just like, it's weird, we don't get voicemails. I'm like, have you called us after hours to check it? So, was able to, we had utilized CallRail for some of our number tracking. And so I was able to go in that system and kind of patch up a voicemail for at least those phone numbers while the owner reached out to our teledata company to get our real voicemail functioning again.
So this is something that I want to call out because this is like what you're talking about. This is not a necessarily marketing function, but the owner is going to look at the marketing company and say, our leads are down. And then you're going to say, well, the leads that we got are this, but like, is the whole lead intake process working properly? Do we have a call script? Are the leads that are going after hours going to a voicemail? And then what's the system for this? Because a lot of times what I found is like, it's not necessarily a marketing problem. It's actually like a system problem in the business. And we need to patch the holes inside of it, which is exactly what you experienced.
Yeah. And same thing with lead follow-ups. There was, especially during busy season, right? Yeah. We've got guys running everywhere, and there was no strategic and thoughtful way to follow up beyond we've sent them their estimate and we hope they call us. So being able to build out that system really quickly to get the guys, after 2 days, we do this. After another 2 days, we do this. After that, now the sales manager gets dibs on your commission because he's going to go chasing those that have taken too long. And so, a little bit of carrot and stick there was able to build out an actual framework for when you reach out to customers and when you decide that maybe the lead has ghosted you.
Yeah, that's great. I like including someone else in the rehash program or the estimate follow-up sequence because then the salespeople, they get real busy, right? And then they pick and choose like, okay, I'm going to follow up with this one hard or I'm not. But if you have like we had a company that was 3 million and they went to 8 million and they had their CSR and they gave that woman rehash opportunities to actually call the estimates, and they gave her an incentive to call on them. And I think it gives the salespeople a little bit of back end support, but also give someone else in the company an opportunity to make money and split some of that commission so that it doesn't die on the business, which I think is a
Right.
really good call for you guys.
Yeah.
So
The
that's
other
great.
piece was we had a really ingrained process for requiring that all homeowners come on site or let us come back out to their house to give the proposal. Because,
Mm,
of course, if they're willing to jump through all these additional hoops, they're more likely to close. Um, but they saw it as this is the best way to close. And I came in with the different framework of you're leaving money on the table. Like
yeah.
people don't even know how much the new fence costs. How are they going to say yes? Like give
Yes.
them something. Even if it doesn't close at the same rate, there's
Yes.
still revenue sitting there that could have been yours if you had just sent something out. So we started having the sales guys, if they weren't able to get a call immediately scheduled, they would put together a Loom presentation where they would go over line by line, show the photos they took, when they were up on the roof or out in the yard, and explain to them this is why we use these quality products. Right, give their full pitch, and then send it out, and then send it out via email, and then text them right away to say, hey, I've sent this to you, take a chance to look at this, I'll follow up in a couple days.
So
And
good.
then they did. They followed up in 2-3 days, and the number of people that are like, yeah, I looked at that, we were able to watch it together, I've got a couple questions. Having that direct timeline outlined versus let me know if you have questions,
Yeah.
really kind of helped keep things moving forward.
Yeah. So good. I think a lot of times what we find in businesses is that the bucket is actually has a bunch of holes in it, and you got to plug the holes.
Right.
And then the leads that are coming in, you're going to naturally close more deals. And to be honest, it's without even spending any more on leads or marketing or ads or anything. And you can grow your business just by plugging all these different parts, which is what you're referring to, which I think is a big unlock. From an SEO perspective, what were some of the things that you saw that was like not good from this company, or what were some of the red flags? And then how did you change it, or what did you do different?
So we had gone through a rebrand a couple times. So there were issues across logos, across names, even our warranty paperwork listed like 8 different things.
Hmm.
There were 3 different websites when I came on. So there was a lot behind that, just from the roofing business
Yeah.
standpoint. The SEO company that they were using was candidly very scammy.
Hmm.
The digging that I did after we got rid of them found out that they were registering us on random registries across the internet. So like we got a live journal page with our website name on there. Apparently, they had registered us for a weed directory
Oh my God.
because they were trying to find any weird backlinks they
Like,
could, and that ended up being a major issue. They had subcontractors that they were using for all of their content that they were building out, and so there was a lot of security issues that cropped up with people coming and going and having access and logins to our website. We actually ended up crashing at 9:13 on a Friday evening. Ask me why I know
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And so survived that mini heart attack, and was able to work with our provider to get that back up and patch all the holes that they had put on the back end so that they could upload files directly and cannibalize our website. So it,
yeah.
it was it was difficult to get some of that cleaned up, but they were really just out there scamming people.
Yeah, I think the SEO landscape like 10 years ago was like just build citations or backlinks, and then that's going to help you rank better, and then you're going to get more leads, which that has all shifted away from that now. It's more about being relevant on AI platforms and building an entity. There's still some say, you want to do some of those things, like maybe build citations with your name, address, and phone number matching, but like not just chasing every single backlink to try to get something to rank you higher. I think there's also a level of like content now that's so important that you can't just like outsource that to someone who's just going to do cookie cutter, rinse and repeat type stuff. It needs to be a little bit more unique. With the 3 websites, did you end up consolidating it down to one or?
So I got it down to 2.
Okay.
That's as far as I could get it.
Okay.
But candidly, it was because the secondary one was actually doing really well. So we had the main website, and then our secondary one was focused solely on fencing.
Mm,
And even though we didn't prop it up anywhere, we didn't have it listed on our GMB, we didn't have it listed on social, we didn't run it for ads, it still had great organic traffic.
yes.
So I just didn't want to kill it. I figured, fine, we'll be first and second on the search
Yeah.
results, and I guess that helps us out, right? So
Yeah. That's good. I think first off, you want to know the data, right? Do we actually rank for this or not? A lot of people just think, oh, if I just have a bunch of websites, then I'll have more opportunities. That's not correct. But if you actually see that it ranks and you get organic traffic and leads through it, then yeah, why not just keep it up there? It's not going to hurt anything per se. It's all
yeah.
coming to the same business. Okay, that makes sense. So that's like the SEO side of things. What about like reviews? Do they have a reviews process, and then or what was that like to help with the SEO stuff?
That's one of my gold stars.
Okay,
So reviews, I was able to grow those along with the team, of course, over 200% in about a year and a half.
nice.
And one of my favorite things of that project was I created they were business cards, but they actually had QR codes that went directly to the review flow in Google, as
Nice.
well as to Yelp. And it had a little line at the bottom that said your guys today were, and it allowed the technicians to write in their own names. And
Nice.
then there was an incentive program internally where if they got mentioned in a review, we gave them a little extra bonus at the end of the month. But those cards were so easy for them. We just kept a box in every truck and they were able to write it down. And we did a lot of internal coaching so that they knew at the end of the project, when you walk it with the homeowner, if they're available, you show them, like, this is what we did. Do you have any issues? Do you see any problems we could fix right now while we're here? If after today something comes up, here's the card with our number on it. Like, you can call and ask for me. And so it was a really nice leave behind, and it was super easy. A lot of our customers were older, so trying to tell them, like, go find the
Yeah.
reviews, go leave us something, was hard. So having that QR code right there, sometimes the guys had to coach them through, like, you get out your phone app and this is how you
Yeah.
do it. And we were able to grow. I just pulled the numbers earlier. They're at 555 total reviews between the
Nice.
different locations. So
So
super
good.
proud of them for that. And many of them lately have been with photos attached. That was a big push
Yeah.
this spring, was getting a lot more of the customers to post the pictures, because that helps with Google's rankings as well.
Yeah. Nice. I love it. It's funny because like a lot of the systems, maybe you heard them from me. I don't know because I know you follow a lot of my stuff. Like a lot of this stuff is like what I preach. So I love hearing it because I'm like, this is so good. So great stuff. I do want to call this out because I think I know the answer to this, but with ads, because that's another way that a lot of people think that's how I'm going to grow, specifically going from like 8 to 11 million, $3 million. Did running more paid ads or any other ad channels, was there any that were good for you that made a bunch of money, or was it like that wasn't one of the growth levers that we did, or what was that like?
Yeah, that was actually an area where I ran a lot of testing, because, with local services, that could be all over the map. And we did have a couple national companies in
Mhm.
town as well. So sometimes it was like, look, I cannot compete with the dollars they're just throwing at this particular campaign. Where can I diversify? And so some of that was testing and learning. We learned that PMAX was not for us. We ended up getting a ton of people that were not anywhere near our state.
Yeah.
We had people looking for jobs, even though we had specifically said we do not want people looking for jobs. Google's like, I'm gonna do what I want. So we turned off PMAX. We ran meta ads for a little while and did some audience matching, and it it wasn't having the same return that we were getting in some of our other efforts. LSA was probably my favorite. And so every month I would evaluate like where did we hit on our budget, and if we were close to the top, I'd up it again. Like this is an area where they're quality leads. I was able to tell Google when it wasn't a quality lead, and about half the time I'd get the money back, which was great. And then we were getting a lot of just like good messages. I know sometimes that's hit or miss, but for us, it worked out, and we were able to get customers that maybe weren't supposed to be on their phones during work, and we could get them scheduled that way. So yeah, it was a lot of trial and error, seasonality. Right, we'd move budget over to fencing for the parts of the year that we really shouldn't be up on roofs, and we'd move over to commercial in the time of year where that made sense. So just
Nice.
keeping an eye on it and knowing what growth levers to pull everywhere.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that a lot of businesses fall into the trap is just spend more on ads to grow, but then they don't actually track anything. And they're just, the owners just operating on gut feeling, just thinking like, oh, this is working or it's not working. When there's someone that can actually pull the data and say like, no, this is not working, but let's try this over here. This is working. Let's do more of this. I think that's a beautiful thing. And also like getting more reviews goes hand in hand with your LSA performance. So those work together. So that's really great. I do want to ask you about this because I think a lot of businesses fall into this trap around $5 to $10 million. They think that it's best to bring everything in-house. And obviously in your case, maybe you brought it all in-house or maybe you had some other stuff, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. So like you've been inside of a growing company, and what did you learn about the difference between having one in-house marketing leader like you versus if it was you and then having some external support behind you or something, or a team? What was your experience like with that?
Yeah, so after a while, I did bring on a marketing agency that supported me in my Google search ads. Truly because I was doing everything from print to prepping for events to managing internal processes. And I was like, I need someone to do something for me. And so they were amazing at taking what I told them to do and doing it. It wasn't a strategy partner; it was an execution partner, and that's candidly what I needed. Being able to manage the strategy myself. It worked having me there for the stage we were at because I was able to push and sometimes just run with it and ask for forgiveness later, in a way that an agency partner can't.
Yeah.
But that was because of all the internal processes that were broken. Once I got them to a stage where those things were cleaned up, it naturally makes more sense. And it is what they have done since my departure, is moving it over to an agency for execution and light strategy. So yeah, just depending on, what else you've got going on in the business, that's, sometimes having somebody to stand up there and be like, that's a terrible idea, is important and helps the owner kind of gut check where they're at, and getting it done quickly versus, owners have a million things on their plate. If you're waiting on them to approve something or get you details, that from an agency standpoint can be hard. Whereas if you're internal and you've already got access, you got the keys to the kingdom, you can move things along in a way that actually can get results done.
Yeah. Well, what I found to be the most effective is around like $7 million. If someone were to hire a marketing coordinator internally in their business to like do the events, do the BNIs, get the pictures, help with the process with the CSRs and office managers. But to your point, they don't have to be the technical person that knows technical SEO, that knows how to run paid ads and landing pages and all this stuff, that can also help with automations, but not have to know how to do all the tech stack and everything like that. It's a perfect blend of relationships. But I think a lot of people think that, oh, I can just hire one person to do all this stuff. And it's very rare to get a unicorn. I mean, you're pretty much almost there, right? Aside from the ad piece, but it's
Get my horn.
it's definitely hard. I do want to ask you, did y'all do like EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System, or did you have like leadership meetings, or was there any like sales directors, and like what would that look like as far as like the infrastructure, the ins and outs of like data and strategy and stuff?
Yeah, I had been there about 4 months when we started a leadership team meeting once a month.
Okay.
It was our office manager, our sales manager, the owner, our production manager, and myself.
Oh, cool.
So we brought everybody together to kind of go over what's happening in our areas and what roadblocks we had going on. And I used that kind of as a like gee whiz opportunity for data because they had been so busy working in the business, they hadn't been working on the business.
Yes.
And so I really dug into kind of these like niche reporting things. Side note, I love CRM reporting data. That's like what I do in my fun time. So being able to go in and go, look, did you know what our highest close rate for job type is? Is it wood
Mm.
fencing? Is it roofing repairs? Is it insulation? Is it commercial? Like, do you guys know what that is?
Yeah.
And they looked at me and they were like, I I don't know. And so I was able to pull that up. I was like, look at this. And I was like, do you know who closes best on roofing repairs out of all your sales guys? Let's pick this entry level, you know, job type that we have. Who closes best on that?
Yeah. And they
I
don't.
think it's this guy. It's like, no, it's not. And so being able to pull up some of that data then helped the sales manager go, oh, I need to coach up these people because we are seeing more leads going into
Mm.
roof repair. So if this guy's the expert at it, we need to make sure everybody's doing what he's doing and has the the internal knowledge and the expertise that he's got so that everybody can close those better. And they're just little pockets of the data that when they're going and pulling a sales reports, it's not easy to
Yeah.
determine what's working and what's not. So I had a lot of fun with that every month, is looking at different little pieces of the business that we could kind of utilize to make the leads work better and make the sales process better.
Yeah, so good. What you're calling out is what we've uncovered at Flash, which is that you have to have good data to make good decisions.
Yeah.
Like first and foremost, because if your leads were up, like for example, your leads were down, and then you went and said, okay, well, are all the leads coming into the business? No, they're over here, right? Like you could see that. Then you said, okay, what automations do we need? Which is the second pillar, which is okay, we need to have a lead nurture sequence, we need to have an estimate process in here. Then you could layer in marketing on top of that with good data and automations, and it all works together. Those are the three prongs that most businesses need. The problem is that they just focus on and spend more on ads, and they don't know any of this stuff, and it's a mess. So good thing, set up a leadership meeting and have these conversations, because I think I had the exact situation. We used to meet at Chili's, and I used to bring this stuff to their table and be like, hey, we need to do this, do this, do this. But for you, it allows you to talk directly to these people and tell them what to do, and then helps you like make the result that you need to make, and like they can execute. So I think it was probably a big opportunity for you. If what I found is like if I didn't have that stage or that platform to talk to all these people, it kind of just fell to the wayside and everyone's just in their day to day.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. All right, cool. So last thing, so why did you decide to work with Flash?
Yeah, you kind of alluded to it that I had been following you on LinkedIn for a while. Being a solo marketer at a roofing and fencing company, right? I was very alone. It was a new industry for me at the time. I had spent 15 years in marketing from a software and education industries. So roofing was new to me. Home services was new to me. I had purchased a roof. That wasn't a fun process,
Yeah.
but I wanted to find other voices in the space, and so I leaned on you a lot. Was able to learn some things, and even if it was just a gut check, you were like, "This is important." I'm like, "Yes, it is." I love that. So I was able to have kind of a peer there. I had been there a year and a half, as I said earlier. Right, I got everything cleaned up to a point where they could transition to not having a director in house, and better manage their budget and their staffing. And sometimes opportunity just knocks,
Yeah.
and love that Flash is growing, and it just seemed like the perfect opportunity to come over and then bring all this experience I had to help more than just one business.
Exactly.
So I was really excited about that opportunity to help all these customers that you have be able to learn and grow and see success and what's going to work for them.
Yeah, I love it. Well, for those that are listening, if you don't see, like, Marie, clearly she can help you grow your business. I mean, come on. And with the Flash team. So I'm really excited to have you on the team, Marie. Thanks so much for coming on today and sharing all of this stuff. And obviously, you're going to crush it and can't wait to get after it and work with you. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
You're welcome.